We're going to be getting started here shortly. Um, just wanted to introduce everybody to some newer technology in this space, right? Just some things that you may or may not have seen before as we start moving into this new digital world, right? And right now, we'll just kind of wave at everybody, as we start to kind of get everything kind of here, right? And so number one, we're going to be talking about digital summits today, but more importantly, I'm going to be talking to each and every person here about really being willing to step into the future. So first things first, if you can hear me, go ahead and put a one in the comment section below, right? This is Trevor Otts, known to some as the Black CEO, known to others as still the Black CEO. And today, I'm only going to be coming to you for a few minutes, so I want everybody to just do a few things. One, if you can hear me loud and clear, I do want you to put in the comment section below. I want you to um, put a one in the comment section below. If you can hear me, just say, "Hey, Trevor, I can hear you." If you're interested in getting more information about exactly how I'm coming to you in this virtual space through my virtual webinar, right? By the way, how you doing out there? I see Shay Brown. Hey, Shay. I see Spalding. I see Loretta Lancaster. How you doing there? And this is just to start to introduce us to starting to really broaden our horizons, right? Now, here's what I want you to do in the comment section. In the comment section below, I want you to put your first name. I want you to tell us where you're from, and I want you to tell us a little bit about the product, the service, the mission, the organization, or the brand that you represent, right? And if you are representing, you don't represent a brand, but just represent yourself, me, five me. But in the comment section, put your first name, put where you're from, and put the product, the service, the mission, the organization, or the brand that you represent. And so today I am coming to you from our virtual studios, which I think that in the era of the quarantine, in the era of the pandemic, I think many of us have realized that our virtual representations of who we are in the world are now, equally as important, right, as our physical representations. Okay. And so that's one of the things that we're going to be covering today, right? And so buckle up, um, get ready, right? We're going to be teaching, but we also are going to be creating a unique experience that I think that at some point each and every person should, really be able to do. Okay. And so I'm going to switch to a bit of a close up for those people who, you still like to see me. Hey, this is actually Trevor. I'm actually here, right? I have on my trusty blue suit, as many of you can see now. And so let's get ready to get right down to it now. In the comment section, if you can see me clearly, put I can see you. If you can hear me clearly, put I can hear you. And then you want to put your first name, your last name, your business, your brand, your product, your service that you represent, so that when other people go back and watch this video, they see you. And that's really what it's all about. You know, creating more of a visual experience with your broadcast, creating more of a visual experience with your summits, creating more of a visual experience with how you show up in the world, right? If everybody else is doing one thing, well, you got to do something different, right? You got to be willing to do something outside of the box, right? And so today's lesson, I want everybody to write this down, right? By the way, do me a favor, everybody, hit the share button, And when the share button comes up, this time I want you to do something different. I want you to hit start a watch party. I want you to hit start a watch party. Go ahead and do that now for me. I really appreciate it. And once you do that, if you've done that, go ahead and put it in the comment section that you did it, right? Hit the share button. And then after you hit the share button, what I want you to do is after you hit the share button, what I want you to do is I want you to start a watch party, right? And so if you will do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, and put that in the comment section. Why? Because when we cooperate, 1 + 1 = 2, but when we collaborate, 1 and 1 = 11. Hashtag 11, right? And so it's all about the spirit of collaboration. Okay. So a couple things that I want to talk to everybody about before we start training today is many of you have wondered, you're wondering right now how to do this. And I'm going to be talking about some of the newer technologies related to helping you do your own digital summit. So if you haven't gone to digitalsummitchallenge.com, you're going to be missing out on a 5-part training series right, that I'm going to be doing, right, just for you, right, that I'm going to be doing just to help you really become more effective in doing and generating revenue from digital summits, virtual presentations, and also how you can use technologies like this inside of your Zooms and things like this. So for those people who's like, oh, I really want to know how he did it, put it in the comment section below. I'll make sure that we get this information to you right away. Lickety split. How fast? As fast as I can get it to you. Okay. Now, that being said, let's kind of get into today's information. Okay. So, I want you to write this down. Is many of us see the number one problem that we are facing, right? The number one problem that we are literally facing, right? As entrepreneurs, as Black CEOs, as Black entrepreneurs, the number one problem that we are facing is an addiction to our labor as the primary mechanism by which we generate revenue, right? And so I want you to write that down. The number one problem that we're facing as Black entrepreneurs is an addiction to our labor as the primary mechanism by which we generate revenue. And as an African-American male, as an African-American, right, one of the things I know for a fact is that in our culture, we have a unique relationship to labor because this country was built on the backs, literally, of our labor. And I will quote what George Fraser said is that we are the children of the slaves who would not die, right? And so what that does is that while we have a legacy that in this country that is rooted in the undervaluing of our labor, right? That does not mean that we have to stay addicted to our labor. And so here's the thing that I want everybody to write down today, right? Because we should, working is a good thing, but how we work has everything to do with whether it will be a good thing. Write this down. You labor so that you can learn. You learn so that you can live. Let me just say that again. You labor so that you can learn, right? You learn so that you can live. And one of the biggest mistakes that we make is we try to labor so that we can live, right? And here's the thing I want you to know. I want you to write this down. You cannot live off of your labor. Here's why. If you learn to live off of your labor is not something you can do indefinitely, right? And so eventually when you can no longer labor, right, they want you to retire. Or what happens is retirement is when your labor is no longer valuable to them. And so what they do is they put you out the pasture. They put you in the unemployment line. They tell you to retire. They give you a gold watch and half the money they used to give you. And you are basically out of luck. Why? Because you have used your labor to live. And that is the wrong move, right? And so what you have to do is you labor so that you can learn, and then you learn so that you can live, because the goal is to live off of that which you have learned. You want to live off of that which you have learned, right? Look at the Supreme Court, right? On the Supreme Court, these are supposed to be the brightest legal minds in the country, the best, the lawyers of all lawyers, the judges of all judges, right? They're on that bench until they're 80 and 90 years old, right? They don't really retire. Why? Because they can be on that bench, right, until their mind is no longer working, right? Because they are living off of what they learn, not off of what they do, right? And so when you hear people say there is more money in what you know than what you do, this is true. But what you have to do is you have to learn how to live off of what you learn. You don't live off of your labor. And so many of us, and we got to teach our kids this. We got to teach our young folks this. We got to teach our teenagers this. We got to teach our up and coming youth this, right? Is that you don't labor so you can live. You don't labor so you can buy the car. You don't labor so you can get the house. You don't labor so you can stand in line for some Jordans. You don't labor so that you can keep up with the Joneses. You labor so you can learn them. And then when you have learned, then you learn to, then what the next step is, you have to live off of what you learned, right? And anybody who has ever created wealth, the greatest principle of wealth is learning how to live off of what you learn. I've learned to invest, right? I have learned to build a business. I have learned how to generate revenue, right? I'm going to say it again. You labor so that you can learn, and you learn so that you can live, right? And if you have not learned, if you do not know how to live off of what you have learned, then it's time for you to go back to school and start to labor in a new area where you can learn some new things to cause you to live. The quickest way to go out of business, the quickest way, right, to really, the quickest way to find yourself in the unemployment line is to start trying to live off your labor. And so I came today to tell everybody is that you got to now learn how to live off of what you learn. And so what do you need to learn? And I want everybody to write this down. And by the way, this is what we're going to be talking about in the digitalsummitchallenge.com, right? Because we're going to see, you're going to labor. There's going to be some work to be done so that you can learn. And then when you learn, then you're going to learn then what's going to happen is you're going to learn how to live off of what you learn. You labor so that you can learn. You learn so that you can live. You live off of what you learn, but you do not live off of your labor. Somebody just give me a thumbs up. Somebody give me a hearts up. Somebody hit the share button. Somebody let me know that you are paying attention, right? And so here's the thing. I want you to write this down because here's some new things that you got to learn. I want you to write this down. Digital marketing is the new literacy. Digital marketing is the new literacy, right? And so what do I mean by that? Right, is that a person who does not know how to digital market or does not have the skills of a digital marketer in 2020 is the same as a person who is illiterate in 2020, because digital marketing is the new literacy. And so what we found is that many people who had their degrees, who had their MBAs, who had their masters, who had their PhDs, right, they woke up overnight and realized that they were illiterate, right? They literally woke up overnight, right, and realized that they were illiterate. Why? Because digital marketing is the new literacy. See, the pandemic, right, revealed who people really were. And so basically the pandemic, right, was an extinction level event. And it literally wiped out, right? It turned today's coaches, today's gurus, today's pastors, today's preachers, today's leaders, right? It turned them into literally dinosaurs overnight. It was an extinction level event. It basically put their butts out of business, right? If they couldn't be in front of people, if they couldn't get on a stage, right? Basically, if they couldn't really get in front of the people, it basically put them out of business because they did not have a digital infrastructure. They were digitally illiterate. And here's the thing. Is for many of you, your coaches walked you into that same form of illiteracy, right? Literally, some of your coaches, right, some of your coaches need to be fired, right? Some of these people that have called themselves mentors need to be fired, right? Because they have not taught you the skill sets of a digital marketing. There is no way in today's market that you can really survive or to make a living without knowing how to digitally market yourself. Let me use as an example. Even let's take the football player, the basketball player, the tennis player who's trying to get a scholarship, right, to go to school. Let's take that person, for example. That person goes on YouTube and starts to market themselves so that coaches can see them, so that NFL scouts can see them, so the NBA scouts can see them. That's digital marketing, right? You got if you're trying to get a job and get a career, I'm talking about a career that pays you for real. Well, yeah, you got to go on LinkedIn and you got to be able to digitally position yourself. Okay, that's code for digital marketing. Somebody say digital marketing is the new literacy. Holla if you hear, brother, right? And so what happens is you need it in the career space, you need it in the school space, and then in business, if you ain't got a website, you don't even exist. right? And so digital marketing is the new literacy. And the thing that they're teaching you is they're teaching you to depend on them. They are teaching you these days to just listen to what I say. What they're doing is basically hoping that you're going to keep them in business long enough to survive. But somebody's got to have a heart, and somebody got to say, have the guts and the gusto to say, I will not be a dinosaur. I will not be Blockbuster Video. I will not be Circuit City. I will not be a BlackBerry phone. I will not be extinct. And so in order for me not to be extinct, I got to start learning the skills of a digital marketer. Because digital marketing is the new literacy. And so for many of us over the age of 40, many of us really past that age around about 37, 38 and up, 37 plus, right? Many of us woke up overnight and realized that we were digitally illiterate, which is the same as illiterate, and that we need to develop some new skill sets. So where do we go to learn those new skill sets? Well, it's very simple. You go and you register for digitalsummitchallenge.com. digitalsummitchallenge.com. Why? Because in that challenge, we're going to teach you how to develop the skills of a digital marketer, because digital marketing is the new literacy, and not knowing how to digitally market yourself in 2020 is the same as being illiterate in 2020, right? And so this is what it's all about. We got to labor so that we can learn, but we got to learn so that we can live. And so there are many of you who are willing to put the work in so that you can learn to adapt and adjust to the world that has changed right in front of your eyes. And the pandemic didn't change the world. The pandemic basically sped up what was already coming, right? And so here's the thing I want to leave you with. Not everything, not every creature, not everything that lived during prehistoric times, not everything that lived during that time went extinct. The only creatures that went extinct were the creatures that would not evolve. Right? And so there's still creatures who basically did not go extinct, who still exist in this day and time, like the alligator or the crocodile or the platypus or the fly or the dragonfly, right? Why? Because they evolved. And the only things that we refer to as dinosaurs, right, are things that went extinct. And so today, it really comes down to a question, because powerful people ask powerful questions, and because questions still focus, and in your life and in your business, you only get what you focus on. The question is, are you going to be a dinosaur, or are you going to be the next generation of successful Black entrepreneurs, successful Black CEOs? Will you evolve, or will you hold on to who you used to be? Will you hold on to old ideas? Will you hold on to old coaches? Will you hold on to this old school way of being? Or will you step into your new future, step into your destiny with the type of zeal, with the type of gusto that lets the world know that you're here, that lets the world know that you are ready to do business? At some point, you got to make a decision to really be about your business. And so if you haven't done so already, go to digitalsummitchallenge.com, get yourself registered, because now is literally the time to start taking your business to the next level. My name is Trevor Otts. I'm known as the Black CEO. Make sure you join the Black CEO Facebook group. Make sure you register at digitalsummitchallenge.com. And if you want to know more about the technology that I'm using to come to you today, put that in the comment section, and I will follow up with you literally on our next broadcast. Here's what I want you to do while I'm getting ready to close this out, is I just want you to go on over to the comment section, type in your number one takeaway, but also put your business, your product, or your service in the comment section. Why? Because we want to know more about you. We want to know more about who you are, who you be, and how we can bring value to your world. My name is Trevor Otts. I'm the Black CEO, and y'all know how we do it, right? On the counter, when we count down from 5, at the end, you're going to type in, you're going to put hashtag Black CEO out. You're going to put where you're from, and you're going to holler it out because it's the sound that's going to be heard literally all around the world. My name is Trevor Odds, hashtag Black CEO.